Hey, and welcome to the EMPOWERTalk podcast. We are Empower Talking tonight about discerning the dip. Listen, we've been challenging ourselves as we begin to find all the truths and all the strategies that we need to really help ourselves to be productive in the book Finding Flow in Empty Places. Listen to this. Finding Flow realizes that knowledge of ourselves is a key advantage when being exposed to new and different environments. We need to know ourselves. We need to know ourselves so clearly, because unless we understand who we are, what our motivations are, what our distractions are, we can fine tune and describe everything we want to about ourselves. We know where our weak points are, but we need to make sure that we are able to discern those moments in our lives that don't work for us and they're not effective to us. We know what they are. We don't need anyone to analyze that, to evaluate that. If we're honest with ourselves as business owners, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, we'll tell you right now, here's where my weaknesses are. But we've got to face those things and not be in denial that there are negative things in our experience. And yet sometimes we want to hide the fact that we go through. And all of us, if you're a human being, if you are a humanoid, you will have these challenges in terms of setbacks and misunderstandings. But we have to realize and know ourselves, because this becomes a key advantage to how to circumvent some of the challenges that come to us, so that we can regain positivity and regain the kinds of things that make things happen for us in a new and different way. We need to know how we function in different environments. We need to register and discern what makes us happy, what makes us sad, and to even notice the drop in performance when we feel a certain way, so that we can quickly remedy those things that will lead us to finding flow again and reconnecting and re-engaging, so that we can be positive and continue to make the kind of progress that we need to be advantageous. We are the sole source of all information related to the way we think, the way we react, the way we navigate life, the way that we function, the way that we process information, and the way that we deal with conflict. We are the source. We are at the epicenter of all of the things that weaken us, but all of the things that strengthen us. Sometimes it's difficult to admit, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. But it is in the identification and the honesty of those moments that help us to kind of score a plan to become more productive. So unless we know what our challenges are, unless we admit to our faults, unless we admit to our shortcomings, we'll never be able to remedy them. And so discerning the dip, or discerning those moments in our lives when we sink into low activity, into low productivity, it's going to be a key advantage to us. And what we need to do, I believe, is to find the advantages that help us to reconnect to finding flow and minimize and diminish the disadvantages. So we know the way that we know what we do. We know the way that we think. We know the way that we react. We know how we navigate life. We know how to function. We know how to process information. And we especially know how we deal with conflict. But sometimes it's owning those habits that we have. It's owning those behaviors and not feeling embarrassed about the places that we are, because it's facing those situations that help us to navigate and to move beyond them, to solve them. We are all a puzzle. Every one of us is a puzzle that needs to be sorted out. And yet we know ourselves greater than what we believe. Is the person we try to hide from people, is the person that we don't present in public, but in private, we know our emotional state sometimes can be haphazard, and it can be inconsistent. It can be erratic at times. But when we understand that's how we are, then we can put in place a remedy, a healing, right? An inspiration that helps us to get from one place to another. We have to know our trends. We have to study ourselves, that we know our habits. We know our proclivities. We know our idiosyncrasies, and we know how to fix them. Sometimes I think we focus too much on what's wrong, that we fail to then say, well, how do I put that right? And how do I change the way that I think? And how do I do things differently, so that I might regain the flow and the energy and the excitement and the unspeakable joy in my life? How do I do those things in a very clear way? It's in you. The answers, the problems are in you. Let's be honest. The problems are in us, but the solutions are also in us too. But we often leave them unrecognized because we don't want to face them. But in facing them, my mother would always say this. My mother, who passed in 2016, love her in heaven. She would always teach us this, that if you understand a thing, or when you understand a thing, you have power over it. It no longer has power over you because you get it. And sometimes we need to own the fact that we get ourselves. And let's not deny when people notice that we have failing habits, or we have destructive behavior, or we have weaknesses that we don't want anyone else to know. Acknowledge them, because once we acknowledge them, we can begin to heal and bind up those indifferences, so we can really begin to flow in a way that's going to be advantageous to our lives. We're the most reliable and dependable source to accurately understand and interpret our world and the history of our existence in it. We know our world, and we know what we're doing in it. But we have to learn now how to discern the dip and acknowledge that we're not always on a high. We're not always progressing. We're not always happy. But we're able to still do amazing things, even when we're at less than good. We don't always have our fastball. Sometimes our curveball is not even working. But we stay in the game and we keep throwing, because we believe, and finding flow will not let you give up, because there is an entrance into the way that we do things, and we have to interpret the world in which we live, and we have to interpret our behavior. We have to know ourselves better than we know anything else. And so we absolutely know where we are most likely to fail and where we hope and dream of succeeding. We know that. That's given information. The challenge is we don't always acknowledge it. We don't always give it. We know exactly what we do when certain things and influences and impulses hit our lives, and we try to move away from them. But we know we're most likely to fail, but we need to dream of how we're going to succeed and put in place. This is what the discernment is about. You have to put in place a path that gets you from the valley of negativity to the mountain of prosperity. We've got to know that. And then we've got to climb that ladder, get on that bridge, and move us from a place of what we feel is not productivity, so we can begin to build even in negative times. You can be sad and still work. You can be forlorn and still make it work. How many times have we been dejected and down and feeling rough and not feeling ourselves? But we still have the determination to show up and to still get the job done, because we recognize that stopping is not an option, giving up is not an option, and quitting is certainly not an option. We have to discern the moods that we're in and make sure that we have a strategy and a path to climb out of some of the things that we engage ourselves in. So there is a rhyme and a flow to how we operate. Do you know what your rhyme and flow is? I know what my rhyme and flow is, but we have a rhyme and a flow to how we operate, and everything we face follows a very particular set of sequences and patterns. We know that. We've developed these habits, and we've developed this mindset, and we've developed this thought process over time. We know exactly what we do, and we do it repetitively. We do it sequentially. We do it habitually. We keep doing it, because that's who we are. Discernment says, but learn from that. Begin to put together solutions and resolutions and strategies that bring us out of those areas, because we'll never find flow until we can solve those inner conflicts and those things that limit us, that don't bring us liberty or life. They bring us sadness, and sometimes they bring us a real down feeling. But we've got to learn, if we discern the dip, then we'll know how to get out of that place and come into something more profitable. It is how we stay consistent and repetitive and routine is how we're going to make the difference. This is all things we do. We are creatures of habit. Drive the same way to work, take the same bus to work, have the same ability to do what we need to do. We do it all. We do it all together. And yet we have to make sure that we understand that it's understanding these habits and these philosophies. Sometimes we have to rewrite our subroutines. We have to rewrite the language in our minds and language in our head that makes us do a certain thing. We have to change our behavior, change the way that we think, change the way that we believe, so that we can make sure that we can have access to success and not commiserate about what we've been through. So discern the dip, discern the mood, discern where we are, and let's find flow again. Let's understand that there are going to be down days. We accept that. There are going to be moments of inactivity. We accept that. We're going to regret and we're going to be sad about things that we think we should have achieved. But how we survive that and how we navigate that is the key to finding flow again. And so even as we plan our lives and do the things that we're going to do, remember, know yourself, study yourself, and know what brings you the kinds of inspiration and acknowledgement, and it helps us to move beyond where we are. Because when we find flow again, we will flow with the understanding that we've discerned our moments and we know how to fix us. I hope this Empowered Talking has really helped you tonight, or helped you today. I hope this Empowered Talking has really helped you to recognize that when you know yourself, then you know how to strategize, how to get over yourself. We spend so much time trying to get over things. I'm saying we need to get over ourselves so that we can return to finding flow, even though we're in empty places. Join me next time as we continue to talk on the EMPOWERTalk podcast, Finding Flow in Empty Places.